Hello and welcome to another episode of Court of Swords.
Hey,
It's Tuesday. Adam, you're full.
Max.
Oh yeah,
There, Max.
yeah,
Max
right
arrived. Hi, Max.
I
Good
only
to
have
see
to
you.
point down or up. And down or up is always the same. I could
Yeah,
reverse
Zeke,
it, but
Zeke
everyone
is
would
over
know.
there.
Yeah.
Max is there. But then when we do the other overlay, I'm in the corner, so it's down. If we want to really fake it, I have to look down at my own legs while we're doing the other skate. It's tough. It's a difficult
The
thing.
Brady Bunch actually did a remarkable thing, and no one gives them credit for it. You know,
It's true. Pioneers.
yeah, in the box business, in the box broadcasting business, as you say. What's up? How's it going, Adam? What have you been up to? You did a new show yesterday. I know that much.
Yeah, I was gonna say I literally have time for nothing except role-playing games because I keep seeing time and being like, I could play a role-playing game in that amount of time. It's like I'm not doing anything Monday nights. Let's just do another show. Why not? Yep. But it was good. We did character creation and we did some world building stuff yesterday. It was like our session 0. It's tough, and I've forgotten because I'm so spoiled working with people whose job it is to be content creators. So they're just like around and doing stuff on their computer all the time. That we had to do the show at the end of the day because somebody has a 9 to 5.
Right.
And so I was like, oh yeah, that's a thing. And so I feel bad because I'm like, oh, think of all these poor Europeans that don't get to watch the show. But it's always fun getting to start a new thing. And, you know, there's that kind of like, we just started and everybody's all super excited energy. It's getting over that initial hump, right? Where you're all like, yeah, we all have new characters and there's new stuff going on. We're gonna explore a new world. And you're like, cool, now I have to do all the actual work. Now we have to play the game. Yeah, I'm excited to try it out. It's a game I've been wanting to play forever. We're playing Zweihander. So it's really cool to get a chance to play that. But it's also like 600 or something pages long. And so
Jesus.
like, yeah, I'll learn as much of it as I can before we start, and then I guess I'll learn the rest on screen. Like, we'll just figure it out.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Is that a player handbook and a DM
it's
handbook
cool.
all in one? Is that why it's so long?
Yeah, pretty much. Like, yeah, if you had one D&D book, if the PHB and the Monster Manual and DM Guide were all one book, then it would totally be that same thing. It's funny, they did it backwards where they published the big book, and a lot of people were like, yeah, this is great. I'm into it. We already have a big berg. We don't need another one.
Mm-hmm.
And then they were like, yeah, except that I don't want to. The people were really intimidated by it. They were like, I don't want to buy a huge 600-page book. So they edited out a player's guide from it. So now you can buy the whole thing. Or if you're a player, you can buy a like $10 less expensive like player's guide. It's interesting because it's totally backwards from D&D's model.
Right.
Where in D&D, you have to buy the player's handbook because that's the game. The Monster Manual is the coolest one of the 3, and nobody needs to buy the Dungeon Master's Guide, like ever. Honestly, like, you just don't. It doesn't need to exist. It's not. Don't do it. If you already have it, well, me too. But if you haven't bought it yet, secretly, you don't need it, and you'll be fine.
There you go.
Is it set in the same? Is it like set in a fantasy magical world like this, or?
It's a grim and perilous is the phrase that's used for it. It's inspired by the old Warhammer Fantasy games. So it's kind of the same, like gritty, like you're playing characters who like the party is, it's not like you're a fighter or a wizard or whatever. We have a racketeer, a cultist, a servant, and a fop. Those are the character types in the game.
Fop. So. That sounds fun.
Huh.
Yeah, fop. Yeah.
I was the fop.
Exactly. It's more German.
I was a fop. That was my character's name in like a freshman community or like a high school play or something. I was like an extra. You were fop number 1.
I was wondering where you were going then.
Yeah.
It's like I visited high school last week and I played a fop. All right, Zeke.
Yeah, actually, we were going to announce that Zeke and I have a traveling theater troupe, and we've been doing shows, at high schools, Masonic halls, whatever we can get really between here and Colorado.
Yeah,
we do Rocky Mountain Theater Company.
We're called Mission Improbable.
Jesus.
Oh boy.
Well, cool. I assume those VODs are coming up on your YouTube channel.
Yeah, they're on Twitch now. Yeah, they're on Twitch now, and then I haven't decided when I'm gonna. Sometime during the week, we'll put them up on YouTube if folks have missed it. But,
yeah, cool.
Yeah, that's what I've been doing.
Zeke, what is your? Is that a? Did that hoodie come with that ginormous thing on it right here, or did you add that on? And if so, what is that?
Yeah, this is the TwitchCon EU.
They have different colors for it.
Official jacket. Well, they wanted it to look like a football jersey kind of a thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Do you have a number on the back? What's your number?
69, dude.
Nice. Well done.
Come on, I can't just say that.
The sweater is how we can tell that Zeke is a proud member of House Gryffindor.
Yeah,
that's right.
That's why. It looked a little bit like a Harry Potter thing. That's why I was asking.
You laugh, but I took the Pottermore quiz, and I am indeed a Gryffindor.
Are you really?
That doesn't surprise me. Doesn't surprise me at all.
No.
I took it, but I forgot.
I knew Max would be too.
I don't remember what I was.
You're a Hufflepuff. Don't even lie.
I'd probably be Hufflepuff.
Yeah.
Most likely. What have you been up to, Zeke? I know you've been playing some Indiana Jones, but
yeah. It's like CD-ROM-a-thon. It's going its full swing. It's been a lot of fun. It's been like people love it, man. Even I was surprised that so many people stuck around after the installation was done, because there's a few people out there who just come out like for the installation stream. I like hit like 2K, and once the game is working, I'll go back down to like 13 or something, because people are just there to troubleshoot and help out, and then they're like, well, fun part's over, bye.
Yeah.
But it's been pretty good. Like this particular game has some fucking legs on it. Like it's got content and it's crazy. Like I'm in like 20 hours and I still got like 4 more chapters to go. It's been nuts. I had no idea it was that big.
Had you already played that one, or did you play? I guess not, because you didn't know it was that big. Did you play a different Indiana Jones?
Last CD-ROM-a-thon, I played Indiana Jones and the Fate of Atlantis, which is
right
what people mostly remember from the CD-ROM days of Indiana Jones stuff. But this one is like plays like Tomb Raider. That one was a point-and-click adventure. This one is like Tomb Raider. This one actually has like, it tank controls and like jumping and grabbing and dodging and shooting and all that kind of stuff. And it's rough. Sometimes it's very rough.
Oh yeah.
A lot of the time. Yeah. It's there's a lot of old on the game that you can really tell.
Okay.
And it's there's parts that are pretty hard. But I will say, like, the level design in the fucking game is pretty top notch. Nice. Secret doors and mazes and all that shit. It's put together really well.
Nice. What's up next? Is that chat voted still, or do you know?
Well, yeah, it is chat voted, but I have 4 games that are up next. I'll save the best for last for Adam.
Okay.
But I have Mad Dog McCree.
Right.
Is going to be up again. The Demon Seed Demoniac, the H.R. Geiger game.
Right.
This is actually 2 games in one.
Oh.
I have Lighthouse, which is a Sierra game.
I don't remember.
And then someone sent me this.
Nice.
Return to Zork.
Oh.
Return to Zeke. I love it.
Return to Zeke.
Yeah, that's easy.
Return
easy
to Zeke.
branding there.
Yeah.
God, Zork is so fun and so stupid. And like, it's so good. That whole series is so dumb. It's not as bad as Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, which is maybe the trolliest game in the history of games.
But that's on brand, I would say.
Exactly. Yes.
Adam,
yeah. No, it's totally like bad things are happening to you, and you're like, okay, yeah, I understand why, because I've chosen to play this game. But I like the Zork games. They're real fun. That's exciting.
Well, cool. I would say we'd talk about it more tomorrow on Drop Frames, but we're just gonna get drunk and play EDF tomorrow, so there probably won't be anything worthwhile on that shit show.
If you guys haven't seen the promo video for that, do it. It's pretty good. It's pretty great.
We'll see how that goes. I don't even know if Co can drink. He's been having some tooth issues. I don't know if that's. I don't know what's going to happen. You don't need
teeth to drink. Just ask everybody's grandpa.
I mean, I guess
you don't need teeth at all. He's good.
If he's drinking like straight whiskey. Co's a beer guy. Beer's probably not the best to populate your mouth with if you
don't have to
on the
chew
verge
a
of
beer.
infection. I don't know.
I know a different Co that is very good at drinking.
So that's true. That's true. You could tell so by the party that he visited 2 days ago.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. Anyways, that's not the show topic. Let's not discuss that. We don't want to get this. Let's just keep moving on. Dan, you moved. You've got a great wall behind you.
Yep.
What color would you say that wall is? It's not a green screen. It's a.
I think it's boring.
It's a boring. The boring wall.
That's the official color.
The boring
wall.
Yeah,
boring.
Yeah. You moved. You moved across the country in record time.
Yep. It was a really fast move because I didn't take anything with me.
Yeah.
Except my streaming setup. Yeah.
I would say it's, as far as streamer moves go, there's been some colossal fuck ups for the years that we've all witnessed on social media. Yours, however, it went pretty good. Like everything seemed it worked out. You got internet, the Google Fiber's there. You're not having issues with that. You're just good. You went and bought an Ethernet cable. That's how easy it was. That's the only thing you needed.
Yeah. That was the only crisis was that I didn't have the wireless wasn't strong enough. So I had to go buy an Ethernet cable. And
a good problem to have.
That's been my only real fire.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you don't take a lot of stuff with you, there's less problems that can go wrong. Like if you don't have to deal with movers or you have to transfer your car or God forbid, drive your car across the country.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Just so many things can go wrong, but yeah, it was very, very smooth.
Yeah. You don't own a car?
I sold it before I went over here. So that way I didn't have to deal with it. I'm just going to get a new one over here.
Yeah.
Right up.
That's how you do it. That's the way to move right there. I've been watching your Twitter. You've been eating all the things in North Carolina. Let's talk Bojangles. How are we feeling about Bojangles, Dan?
Bojangles, those biscuits are like crack.
I've only had Bojangles once, and I remember the biscuit. It was in the Atlanta airport, and I remember the biscuits. Mm-hmm. They were quite good.
Yeah, that biscuit is all the shit.
Yeah.
Quick question.
Yeah.
How do they stack up? Now, say what you want about Red Lobster, but those Cheddar Bay biscuits, those are bomb. How do they stack up?
I haven't been to a Red Lobster in probably 25 years. It's been a long time, so I can't compare.
I order something small and I get a dozen biscuits. I get can I get a side salad and a dozen biscuits in the fucking box, please?
You know what you like and live your life, man. Live your life.
Biscuits are good, man. What about a Church's biscuit? Can you compare it to a Church's biscuit where maybe the top of a Church's biscuit is kind of crispy because it's got some honey on it? Where's Bojangles at? Just
God, I haven't had a Church's chicken.
Dan,
since
do you just not eat biscuits? Are you not a biscuits connoisseur?
There's no Church's. There's no Church's on the West Coast, both chicken.
So where do you get your biscuits from? Who has a biscuit on the West Coast?
I guess.
Am I seeing an opportunity here? Is this where I need to go open a biscuit place?
It's a southern and midwestern food, and there's not a lot of good of it over on the West Coast, unfortunately. Seattle's not good for that good old home country cooking. It's just
I'm gonna have to.
It's not.
I'm gonna add it on to my soon-to-be restaurant empire, and we're gonna sell two things. We're gonna sell biscuits. We're gonna sell breakfast tacos, and it's gonna be nationwide change.
Biscuits and tacos.
Biscuits and tacos. B&T's. JP's B&T's.
Bojangles is good.
10, noonish.
Yeah, exactly.
Bojangles is good, but what kicked Bojangles' ass was this place called Cookout.
Oh.
They have these really good burgers and really, really good sides. They have what are called trays. You pick an entree, you get two sides, and you get a drink, which you can upgrade to one of their shakes, and their shakes are god tier. They have about 40 different flavors, and they're one of the best shakes I've ever had. 40.
4D.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
40 different flavors, and they're all made by Southern people with all the fat, all the good stuff in there. Yeah, it's good ass milkshakes.
What type of food do they serve at the Cookout? Is it barbecue?
They have burgers, they have barbecue, chicken, anything that you could think of as a cookout is probably what they have, even hot dogs and stuff.
Okay. All right. I have not heard of this Cookout before. I'll have to do some research.
It is good.
Is there any other besides Bojangles? Is there any other local fast food that you've partaken in?
It's the only fast food I've had so far. I still need to go to a few more places that I'll be going to over the next couple months.
Yeah,
I'm gonna try everything.
there you
I'm
go.
kind of that person that likes to try all the restaurants.
You got to do it. That's how you do it.
We like vinegar.
Yeah, barbecue.
Oh God, yeah. I forgot. I had a Carolina barbecue for the first time.
Yeah,
It's a very vinegary base barbecue, and it was good.
yeah.
Fucking good. Yeah.
I think growing up in Texas, I just can't I just don't like the taste of vinegar. It is from my childhood. It's always been
That's
something
fair.
I'm just not into. So I'm
Oh,
not a fan.
I love me some Texas barbecue too. Texas barbecue is amazing.
It's been weird when I moved to St. Louis. Whenever I go into a barbecue place, the first thing they always ask is like, are you from here? And I go, no. Where are you from? Texas. Oh shit, we got a Texas boy in here. Oh shit. And like, what do you think of our barbecue, huh? That's all right. It's not bad. Oh shit, the Texas guy likes his Texas barbecue better.
The funny thing is, like, whenever I get that from places like, you ever been here before or where you're from and stuff like that.
Yeah.
If it's a place like a southern or eastern southern place,
Yeah.
they're expecting me to say something like that, like from, Texas, Carolina, whatever. And I say Montana, and they don't have anything. They just respect it for some reason. They're just like, Montana.
Well, it's because they've all seen Longmire and they know that you're just a badass like Longmire guy, That's the only.
I've had people ask me stuff like that too. Like, I think it is like a barbecue joint thing where they're like, "Oh, where are you from?" Because they want to see if you you're gonna get your mind blown. And I'm like, Canada, and they're like, I don't know how to respond to that. I don't know.
We don't have any maple syrup here. What the fuck are you doing
Thanks
in a
for
barbecue
coming.
place?
Get out of here so I can talk to someone else, please.
Yeah.
Y'all eat meat up there?
Yeah.
Right?
I thought you guys were all vegetarians in Canada.
We're only vegetarians during the winter when all the livestock dies off, and then when we, when we get them unfrozen, we thaw the livestock in the spring season.
Exactly.
Then we can, eat them again.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, cool. We look forward to Dan's Movie Minute has now become Dan's Dan's Foodie Minute. That's what we're rebranded in a flash. And
good. Okay.
Can I have a movie 30 seconds?
I
got one.
All right. What do we got? What do we got?
Okay. I just saw the movie Just Mercy last night.
Okay.
And it was really fucking good.
Yeah.
I mean, it was
That's
one of the
Jamie
best
Foxx,
movies
right?
I've seen. Jamie Foxx, yep. It'll make you pissed off. It'll make you feel super sad. So be prepared. It's not a happy movie.
Yeah.
But it's a movie that makes you feel shit. And
yeah,
it was very, very good.
Cool.
I watched an interview with him, and apparently a lot of that movie was filmed in an actual prison with actual prison guards, the scenes that he was in.
Mm-hmm.
And there were a couple, he was telling a story in the interview where when they used the proper security, actual security guards in the film, and when he would get his handcuffs on him, since he was a bigger guy, the guy would say, "Hey, put those handcuffs a little bit tighter. You're one of the big guys." And it shook him to his core, and he will never go back to a prison, he said, because how fucked up it was that just a random security guard, because he was a bigger guy, made them lock down the handcuffs on his wrist. It's a pretty remarkable story. The movie sounds remarkable. I haven't seen it yet, but it was a really good interview. So I'll have to check it out.
Cool.
That's still in theaters, right? Only? It's not out?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
Still in theaters.
Yeah. Cool. Last but not least, chomping away over there.
No, I've not played God of War.
Okay. He's not played God of War. Getting it out. What are you eating though? I saw you were munching, so I was giving you some time.
It's all gone. We've got some club sandwich stuff. The little kind of triangular cut club sandwich things that are on a stick. It's like a
I like a
triple-decker
good
kind
club
of thing.
sandwich.
Yeah, it's good. And I had some chips with it too.
What
Was satisfying.
what was this thing I saw on Twitter when you're eating green beans and wings? What is this a thing? Is it
So
Talk
it's a
to me about
Chinese
it.
restaurant in San Francisco called San Tung.
Okay.
SAN and then space TUNG. San Tung, and it's not like a fancy place, but it's like a really popular spot, and people go there mainly for their chicken wings.
Yeah.
And the green beans are just another thing that caught on that people ordered with it. The green beans are like, they're special because they just have like that perfect texture where it's not too soggy, but it's got like a good crunch.
Got a crunch, yeah.
It's still like really good. They're not like southern, green beans or whatever. It's like it's a Chinese place where it's like kind of got a little bit of a glaze and stuff on it, but it's not too bad. Plus, I feel like people order that just so they don't feel like shit about eating just chicken wings. Yeah. But the chicken wings are. I didn't have the biscuits. Yeah.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. But it's literally just this Chinese place. It's funny because there's another Chinese place right across the street from it, and it's just so sad over there.
Is it just destroyed?
It's like this is a place where there's like always 20 people outside waiting. You know what I mean? There's always a wait list, open till close.
Yeah.
And we ended up waiting an hour because somebody had at some point in between when we were waiting, like just fucking wiped the whiteboard that they have everybody writing on. So we were like, just
great.
Fucked.
Oh, for like the
list.
Was
it, and he's like, we'll try
was
to
it
get you
Tyler Durden? Is that who did it? Like,
I don't fucking know.
That's such a shit thing to do. Like, I don't like the look of this list. I'm at the bottom of it.
Yeah,
I'm at the top.
That's messed up.
It was fucked up. I'm glad
you
we
would
checked,
think for a place in San Francisco, they'd have like some app that they all use.
That's what I was like. But this is like, it's a Chinese place. It's been there probably for a long time.
Chinese people can use phones.
Like, I know, but I'm saying when you walk in, you'd be like, oh, okay. Like it's very much like that's just probably how they always done it. They don't want to change anything. But I don't think it's I'm with you. I talked about it the whole time. I'm like, these guys are probably fucking making bank. Just get a fucking thing that texts you when your thing's ready. Those are the best.
Everyone's got a phone.
They were very good. They were super, super good though. Those wings. They're like the perfect like juiciness and like texture on the outside is just some magical shit. It's very, very good. Go to there if you are in San Francisco.
What's the name of it again?
San Tongue.
Spell that.
This way. Put it in the chat. San Tongue. This is the way.
Oh, SAN space TUNG for any audio listeners or YouTube listeners. Yeah. Okay.
Very good. I'm sure some people probably. I saw a couple people in the chat go like, "Oh yeah, I know that place."
Yeah.
I didn't even say where it was too, and then people were like, "You're at San Tongue's." I'm like, "Yep." I'm there.
Yeah, must be famous.
It was good. Yeah, had a lot of different SF food.
Yeah,
and stuff.
What was that? Was Santung better than everything else? Was that number one food item? I don't know why we're today's.
Yeah, I think so. It was like the.
I know I'm so hungry. God damn it!
Special hyped up one, I guess.
Yeah,
went to this really cool German place too. I was there. It's like a place that you'd find maybe in like Cologne or Berlin or whatever. Just a little corner place that has good sausages and like schnitzel, and I got the pork knuckle, which is like fucking this big.
Oh, that sounds good.
This is really good pork knuckle.
Turkey leg and pork knuckle. That maybe I'm gonna add those to my my breakfast tacos and biscuits business.
I think those
pork knuckle and turkey leg are also two items.
I think those are the name of Shredder's goons, right? Pork knuckle and turkey leg.
I think maybe so.
Those are the guys that fought the Ninja Turtles.
Perhaps.
Yeah. I hate them turtles. Let's get them, boss.
Yeah.
Damn you, pork knuckle. You're all buffoons.
It worked.
That sounds like a henchman. What else did I do? I bought a jacket.
What type of jacket did you buy?
What's
your jacket
like
game?
Kind of like a medium light jacket.
What brand is the proper response?
Let me look it up. I think it's.
You don't even know what brand it was.
JP, you're asking the question the wrong way. You don't say, "Tell me about your jacket." You say, "Who are you wearing today?"
I'm sorry. You're
Come on,
right.
get your red carpet on.
You're right. Who are you wearing the other day?
This
Max?
company. It's Aether Apparel. I just found out about them. They had a trendy store that was made up of shipping containers.
Oh, that's always real hipster.
Anytime someone I've heard that like on a like a Hollywood Access show or something, I just want someone to turn back and answer like a great big fat person. What are you wearing, or who are you wearing?
just dead ass look right at the camera like, would you fuck me? I'd fuck
me. I'm trying to find the exact jacket that I bought.
Okay.
I don't want to.
All right. Did you buy this? You bought this NSF.
Yep. It's cool because it's a shipping container store. I'd say there's like 4 or 5 of them, so it's like 3 levels to it. The third most level was like that's where they kept their inventory. They had this kind of, the best way I could describe it was like a better, or it was like a dry cleaner's like pulley system kind of thing, you know, where they just press a button, but instead of like just going around the thing, it like goes up and then bends over into the like their inventory space up in the top container. This sounds so hipster. So they just, I mean, it was a good little store. Like it was tiny, but it's good jackets too. Plus they're like quality, expensive jackets, but also I could get lifetime warranty on it, and I don't need a receipt. Just go to any place and be like, "Hey, this is fucked."
That's nice. Yeah, that's pretty good.
I just really needed like a good like light jacket somewhere in between like a good heavy, you know, winter coat and like a hoodie kind of deal.
It makes sense. It gets real cold in Texas.
Yeah, if you want to look at them, here you go. I'm sponsored. There it is. There's those. I'm not going to show you the exact jacket because I can't find it, but it's
okay. All right, it's on their
expensive
men's jackets collections. That's their collection name, is Men's Jackets.
This is where everybody looks at the price of the jackets and they're like, "Jesus, Gassy."
Let me see here.
Nah, dude. Nothing after being exposed to acronyms pricing. It's like, unless it costs €3,000, a $600 jacket. Nah, that's fine. That's a reasonable amount of money.
Well, that's the thing. I was like, that's what I wanted. I didn't want to fuck around and not have like I wasn't trying to get a jacket that I was gonna be like, this is disappointing and it's shitty. Like I was like,
I don't hate these.
It's lifetime warranty. I don't even need a receipt. That's fine.
The leather jacket looks real nice.
Good.
I don't know about the bright blue Nordic jacket though. That looks a little bit much. That's a little showy.
Yeah.
Everything else looks pretty good.
That's why they come in what the cool kids call multiple colorways, JP.
I like that white. Look at that white jacket. That one's pretty good. Or the what color is that? I don't know what color that is. The third one.
This is the show now.
From the left. Yeah.
This is the show. Yeah, we review expensive jackets.
This episode of
it's a sartorialist
sponsored by
show now,
Aether Apparel. Use Court of Swords in checkout.
Don't do that. Or at least you could, but nothing's going to happen.
15% off. I tried the code and it didn't work. Are you guys not sponsored by them?
Yeah, turns out actually instead we're full of shit. We're not sponsored by them at all.
That's true. Well, cool. I think that's it. Adam, let's roll.
And there was this other place I ate at.
Oh yeah, what'd you eat at? No, I'm all for this.
Kidding. I'm kidding.
It's wait, that's sorry. I didn't realize. No, we're done. We're 2 minutes over. I was not paying attention to the time.
Max, you're done. Shut up.
We're done. Everyone, be quiet. Adam, roll the recap. What are we doing?
Well, we didn't record a separate recap. Yeah, we didn't do a recap for the last episode because I think the recap, sometimes you'll notice if you watch the last few episodes, sometimes the recaps are like just me saying, and then Berg said this, and then Ramus said this, and then somebody else came into the room. It's fine. There was no big set piece action. The most important thing that happened last time was that Vani and Berg,
they did right.
sex.
I even had like a joke in my head that I was going to ask Max to sing I Just Had Sex. Break out his T-Pain and Lonely Island, but yeah, I forgot about it.
So yeah, that was the most important bit. So that happened, and then some other things occurred. Mostly, it was kind of getting a handle on where things are right now, vis-a-vis like the dangers that surround you, the potentia of futures that lay before you, and we kind of ended on like, well, what now, right? Like, what do you guys want to do? You have this sort of precarious position, but nothing threatening you immediately, right? We've taken a little bit of that pressure off. So you have a bit of time to kind of build or decide. And I think right now there was some discussion of getting everybody together and banner sagaing them all the way up north to the Shulin Valley to get away from the undead queen and all of her friends that are still hanging out nearby.
Yeah.
So that's an option. A lot of you have goals to like discover something about something that's happened to your character. We're kind of in a holding pattern until things get to a point where they escalate, right? Like you're able to hide out in the mountains right now because so far, Gravedirt has not figured out that you're up here. You just told her like, we have some stuff we need to go and do. We promise we'll come back. And she was like, all right, I'll hang on to this body until then.
Well, we told her we would bring Unnamed back and show her off. That's
right.
Yeah. Then we never did that.
Yeah.
So
yes, you were pretending to be your friend. But you were being fraudulent about those claims.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, we pick up kind of where we left off in the sense that, I imagine it's like the next day. You are in the fortress of the Embers of Imix. Several days travel to the east of here. There is an old monastery where Ramus Krill grew up, and it's now full of zombies and zombie hopefuls. Far to the north lies the moved capital of the Court of Swords, which at this point is pretty much exclusively run by the Necromancer King and his various generals. You're currently occupying this place with very few other people, a handful of children, some elderly members of the Embers of Imix, Awut, Vani, and Bahath, and they are just waiting for the net to come back in, right? Waiting to reel in all these potential new followers. But that'll take some time. So I guess let's review everybody's goals. Just make sure everybody's goals are good. We're all on the same page, and that the audience knows what you're after today. And then we can turn it over to the players to kind of decide what happens next. So Ramus, your focus seems to be on spreading harmony, both to your friends, in the case of convincing Maharib that harmony is the way of the future, but also teaching or finding a way for you to be better at communicating the benefits of the religion, and then also recruiting someone to proselytize for you, someone to go out and ring the bell and be like, hear ye, there beeth an alternative, listen to the sacred words of Ramus the Krill. So those were the goals at the end of the last session. Are you good with those for today?
Those are fine.
Okay, cool. All right, so Berg, your goals are predominantly about your own kind of place in the world, right? Like exploring the meaning behind the vision that you had when you clashed briefly with Maharib, finding a way to prevent yourself from being possessed again in the future, try to avoid that situation, and then safeguarding Vani from the dangers of her new job, of which we haven't really seen many yet. She's only been in the position for a very brief amount of time, so that will develop as the game continues. Those sound good, Max? You're down with those?
Yeah, they sound like they're not going to get much experience for a while.
I mean,
with explore deeper meaning behind the vision, that one's probably like that. Yeah. I feel like the possession one. Well, I don't know. It's just we're in a very weird spot for those first two goals, I guess. Maybe the first one I can do more with, but the second one, like, find a way to resist future possession. That was kind of being explored with Vani. Maybe that can be.
Yeah, you were working with Vani to explore that earlier, so you can continue on that one.
Yeah, I guess they're fine. I'm not impressed with my goals. I'll just say that.
Okay, all right. Well,
I don't think
I'm glad that I didn't write them. Okay, all right. So Maharib, I have your goals as both understanding and getting kind of squared away on this past you don't remember, right? You want to understand the power behind the axe.
Yep.
Kind of what its intention is, what its deal is. You want to work with Bahath to understand what happened prior to now, right? Fill in that memory that Bahath is connected to.
Mm-hmm.
And then convince the Embers to move to Shulin Valley, right? Get out of here. This cave structure is not safe this close to an enemy.
Yep.
You want to keep those? Those sound good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll keep all three.
Cool. All right, and then 10 pillars. I've got yours as keep the Embers safe from grave dirt. Right, she's out there or undead or wandering. Learn the extent of Bahath's power. Right, figure out how powerful Bahath is so that you can know, in which way and how to use them as an implement. And then finally return to grave dirt. Right, finish off that deal one way or another. Those are the goals that I have for you. What do you think?
Yeah.
Good.
That'd be good.
Cool. All right. Well, do we have a volunteer that wants to frame up a scene? Somebody that has something they want to be pursuing when we.
Good question. Last time I got orders from my higher ups to, was it just watch Bahath and report back? Was that it? I think that was it, right?
Yes.
If chat can help, I think that was
stick
it.
around and gather information.
Yeah.
I believe those were your orders. Okay. Cool. All right. Yeah. So, I mean, again, the goals are kind of on y'all. You're hiding from your enemies, so they don't know where you are. Where should we begin? Who wants to start?
Last week we kind of left off with the group we took a side bar. We were talking to Bahath and kind of in a huddle. So I don't know if we just like left or
yeah.
or
I mean,
if we change
if we change up the scene, like for me, Bahath wants to wreck shit and is currently like waiting for people to come back so that they can go and wreck shit. Right? They believe like, okay, eventually these outsiders will tell me like, all right, it's time, and then I'm gonna get to go and do fire all over everybody. But there's a limited amount of time Bahath is willing to wait for that.
Yeah.
I think if we cut the scene, it just means that there was no resolution. There was no like, all right, Bahath, we're definitely doing this, because it seemed to me like there wasn't.
Yeah.
So yeah, what do you think? I think it's reasonable to say that in that moment, since nobody seemed like they were like, yeah, we're gonna definitely do this, you took your leave of Bahath, knowing that Bahath is basically on your side, right? Like you've convinced Bahath. We kind of learned last session that Bahath knows that you, especially Ramus, are more experienced and smarter than they are, but they're like, you better do something about this, and it better end in me burning a bunch of people, because if it doesn't, I'm going to be pissed. But for now, strategizing, they're going to just leave it on you.
Yeah, I don't think we had like a clear direction coming out of that huddle, but that's my thought on it. I don't know what the three of you think.
Yes, I was struck with a similar
We did
similar
not.
thought.
Yeah, I don't think we had a clear path one way or another.
Yeah, so maybe we just like
that's the
went
show.
back.
Nope,
Yeah,
that's it.
that's it.
That's the show.
That's the show.
Yeah,
That's how it goes.
Court of Swords ends unceremoniously at episode 136 because
Well,
the characters just couldn't figure out what
the
they
group
wanted to
couldn't
do.
Figure out what
and
to do.
that was
next.
it.
See you next show.
Well, I know
And then Aragorn and Boromir and the hobbits, they all get to the crossroad and they're like, which way do we go? Where's Mordor? And nobody could figure it out. The end.
they all had noodles.
True. Yeah. What were we gonna say, Zeke?
Well, I know what 10 Pillars wants to do, and he's made his voice heard, that he wants, like, he thinks it's a good idea to, well, not a good idea, but he wants to take Bahath to Unnamed and set him to burn, like right there.
Right.
The old Trojan horse.
Yeah, and I think
Yes.
Mahari was pretty against just throwing away Bahath one way or the other, and that, at least that's how Mahari looked at it. So I think maybe we went back and forth, but I don't know where Ramus or Berg kind of sat on the matter, where they felt on it.
Yeah, so I don't know. Maybe the
Because
group of
there's a
you
lot
are
of
just
talking when Berg
elsewhere
wasn't there.
having noodles talking about this, right? Because, like, if you want to continue the conversation outside of Bahath and try to decide, or if anybody's like, I have a plan and I need to get other people on my side, we can do it Survivor style, and you can just be like, yeah, 10 Pillars takes Ramus aside as like, we need to form an alliance.
What's the weekly trial here? What are we doing? Are we building a fort and see who can knock
The
it over?
weekly
or-
trial is there's a monastery a couple of days from here full of killer zombies,
Okay.
and they're going to try to kill you eventually. You just have to survive.
All right. And then maybe maybe we just left down there and we're upstairs talking in a room, or someone's talking in a room. Like I said, I think 10 Pillars and Mahari were like pretty much made up their minds, but they didn't really convince anyone otherwise or persuade them to their side, I think.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, and also
so let's-
go ahead.
I was just gonna say, let's imagine you're in and as a way. So imagine like a shot with like a very wide angle lens showing most of an empty room. There are stone tables and benches kind of laid out. We've seen this room full of people before, but now it's empty, save for one table, kind of the sole pool of light in the otherwise dark hall. Off in one side, we see the group of you, and you're sitting in this sort of cavernous meeting room at one of the tables, and you're eating some noodles. And Doug is somewhere, somewhere off screen. We can kind of gently hear him in the kitchen, maybe humming to himself. But it's a clear illustration of how you guys are kind of alone right now, that there's nobody around. So when we fade in, we see that, and then we bring the shot in to the table as though we were sitting there with you. And I imagine you're in the middle of talking about kind of what to do next.
All right. Let's play this out in our minds. How the coming days are going to go. Maybe the coming weeks, months, years. Gravedirt and the Necromancer King have an army. Very large army. And they're gaining followers by the day. And those that don't follow, they kill and then follow them anyway. Against their will or no. We have a group of newly inspired embers that are following a dragon godlike creature being, but they're spread out to the wind trying to recruit more. And then we have the courts who are trying to defend themselves from this coming onslaught. Those are the three biggest groups, or the most prevalent groups that I can think of right now. If the Embers decide to go to the Burnt Valley, start a new life, and the army of the dead, Gravedirt at their head, goes unchecked all the way, and it is a long way, killing and gathering forces along that path, all the way to the Burn Valley, where they swallow up the Embers as if they were nothing. Maybe they put up a good fight, but sheer numbers. And then they come up against an army of the courts. They finally get off of their fat asses and decide that the threat is big enough to get their armor on and fight it. That's where everything is decided, I guess. I'm seeing an opportunity here. Opportunity to cut maybe not the head off the snake, but definitely a big chunk of the snake's body in one action. Good thing is, Hoth seems willing to do it. Bad thing, don't know if it can. Gravedirt might be more powerful than we think, or something like that. But it's a chance. If anyone has any objection to the future I've kind of laid out, please let me know.
There's another player that I think you've forgotten. Gravedirt is not the one in charge. She serves a higher master, the King of Great Rivers. Even if we kill her, he's still there. And I think he gives her her power.
Right. That's the reason I mentioned the head of the snake. Head of the snake is definitely the king.
I think that the king is malleable. He spoke to me. He seemed, unlike Gravedirt, level-headed. Like he knows what he wants. I think she's a tool, and he can control her. And if we went to him with a proposition or something like that, he might listen, whereas she will not.
I may ask, Ramus Krill, how did you get an audience with the Black King?
Well, that's a very complex question. But, well, I was in great need and fading away, and he appeared before me and gave me something to help stop me from fading into dust. He told me he expected nothing of me in return, just to live my life, and I would choose what I would do next. He didn't order, he didn't beg for loyalty like our mistress in the valley below. And I'm curious as to what his goals are. If we find out what he's after, he, not her, maybe we could make a deal there. Because I don't know, we don't understand our enemy yet. What are they after?
Well,
And all
I mean, it's whatever they're after. It's what they've done already that concerns me. That shows what they're willing to do.
I think the Mara have gotten their talons into him. But what if we changed that to something else? What if we could convince him to not use the Mara, but instead use the elementals to get what he desires?
Elementals won't give power like the Mara would. It's not in their nature.
Well, one thing I've learned with Bahath is they're short-sighted and dumb. They don't know. And he seems very good at convincing and getting what he wants.
Bahath is one of many elementals. In fact, he's quite low on the totem pole. I'd have to have Imix be the one that speaks for the elementals there. And even if that was the case, I'm not sure that Imix would give that power to the Black King. I'm not saying it's a bad idea. I'm just not saying it's going to work the way that you think.
I know. I'm just tossing things out there. But I think it might be beneficial for us to understand our enemy better, and maybe meeting with him, I can get us there. We could at least speak to him.
Can you get us out of there? That would be the harder problem if things go south.
So we should talk about geography for a second. So
can I change my goals first? And to one of them being revive Ramus Krill.
I wanted to ask before. I'll tell you a little bit of the geography stuff when we talk about exit plan. But when Ramus says like the primordials are a bunch of idiots, does that upset you at all, Maharib? Or like is Ramus short for ignoramus in this case, or are you just implacable now?
No, I think my response.
I wish I could high five you.
I think my response was pretty measured. Like there was definitely some. I guess I was offended, but I wasn't offended enough to say like you're an idiot. Like it's just,
so there was. I just wanted we would have a reaction shot
that he's been around religion and the arcana his entire life and not been around.
Sure, right. So you're like you're an idiot, but it's not your fault.
He's more ignorant, but he's not an idiot. Like he just doesn't know any better. Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah. So there would be a moment, like there'd be a reaction shot, but it would just be like a little eyebrow raise or a like, side eye, like, okay, Ramus.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not Ramus's fault. He doesn't understand because he hasn't seen them, like, hasn't interacted with them in the same way that you have. Okay, that makes sense. So yeah, let's talk about Court of Swords geography, because we don't have like an official map we can all take a look at and measure. So you're about halfway. In the north, the Court of Swords is bounded by the southern border of the Court of Coins, right? So that's where the Shulin Valley is. That's in the like northwest corner. So that's where it is in the north. On the west, there are this mountain chain that runs pretty much all the way down north to south through the country, right? Through the court. You can in some places cross it, and on the other side, there's more of the Court of Swords, but it's kind of an isolated province. And then north of there is the Court of Wands, and that's the mountains you're in now. You're on the eastern side of that mountain range. And then south, all the way down at the bottom, there's a big bay. There's like a river delta with a bay, and the capital is there, Tampo. And Tampo it's where both the capital of the Court of Swords was, and technically still is, but it's now the capital of the Necromancer King's kingdom, right? He took it over when they killed the Knight of Swords. Whose body is probably either on display or marching around as some kind of awful monster over there. So you would have to travel as far south as you traveled already, 10 Pillars, because you're right in the middle of the province. So you'd have to keep going south, either by river or by land to get there. And you would be in the heart of Necromancer King territory, right? Surrounded by smaller towns and villages that have been taken over completely. It's basically just the heart of darkness down there. Which I guess is backwards, because in Heart of Darkness,
Are
they
there
went
still
upriver.
people
But anyway.
there? Are they all just shambling around like, in Ocarina of Time when you skip forward to the future? Or
It's
like,
just Thriller on repeat down there.
Yeah. They love it there. Yeah, it's their favorite. It's their new favorite song. Yeah. No, so it's
Then the Zombie Mash, just big hits.
What's the name of that city again?
They love the Monster Mash. The name of the city, Tampo.
Okay.
Yeah. It is an adapted word from the regional dialect of the Court of Swords. It just means city. But it's the capital. It has been forever, as long as there's been a city there. And so you could go there, but it's dangerous. It's going further and further into like deep enemy territory, and it's further south. You figure like on foot, like when the roads were all still open and they worked, it would take about a week of walking to get there, right? About 7 or 8 days of walking to get there down the road. But based on the way things are now, with the rampant danger that is present, you'd guess 10 Pillars probably about 3 weeks if you had to round it one way or the other.
Well, Ramus Krill, unless you have some sort of means to get us there, I figure it'll be around 3 weeks just to get to the location where the Necromancer King resides.
There's no way Bahath sits here idle for 3 weeks. And that's not counting the fact that we'd have to get back.
Yes, that is the other thing, is Bahath is a ticking time bomb. We can't hold it back forever.
Yeah, and that's
Master
a worthwhile
Berg,
assessment. Yeah.
You've been quiet.
Master
Curious
Berg.
to think. I'm curious to think, or curious to as to what you think about this situation. What would you like to see happen?
I'm quiet because you all talk better. I am a tool. What I want is hard to say. Grave dirt has to be stopped. Eventually.
just the way of doing it. I leave that to better mind. Chime in when I can. Tough. Very tough.
Berg. I don't have to have been around you as long as Ramus or Maharib to see that you are tested in battle. You've done your fair share of fighting and killing and surviving. You've also been around the armies of Grave Dirt. You've seen them. Perhaps you've spoken to a few of the soldiers. And you know the courts. Maybe from the outside, but you know that world. You know those people. Do you think they stand a chance against Grave Dirt?
Grave Dirt's army of men, people, no problem. Problem is bringing them back, fighting something that is hard to kill and keep killed. We stop that power, then no problem. Wonder how she draws that power, if it could be stopped.
Well, I agree with Ramus in that knowing our enemy is always beneficial. And since it's so far away, it seems daunting. We do possibly have a way to make the trip shorter if they're willing to cooperate, which is dicey to say at least. Dragon Rider might be able to carry one of us, perhaps two. I don't know, maybe even all four of us. I don't know how dragons work. It's new territory for me, which is not something I say very often. Could make short work of that trip. What do we think about that?
Someone needs to stay here. For now, we can mold Bahath into whatever it is we wish, but if they're left alone to their own devices, they're going to get bored.
I would volunteer to stay behind.
They listen to you. I think that would work. I think Ramus needs to be there. He's the only in that we have with the king. As for me and Berg, Berg, do you have any preference? Would you stay here? Would you go with Ramus?
Berg thinks for a moment like he'd like to stay here, but he knows that he should probably, so you see maybe that on his face a little bit, just thinking.
It's a hard decision for Berg, right? Because it's like, guess what? There's only one Berg, and here's all these people you need to take care of. And if you leave and something bad happens while you're away, that is not going to feel very good.
I think
Berg.
right is okay. Oh, never mind.
Yeah. Berg. I would gladly and graciously accept your help if you would stay. I'm asking you to stay. Not only because of your prowess of battle and but more because these people know you. They look up to you. They saw you in a noodle battle. May not seem like much, but you are
Berg has
well
won
respected
many noodle
here.
battles in the last few days.
You're well respected here, Bergen. I don't think someone like me who comes from Court of Coins and wealth and that kind of thing, no matter how long I've been here, there's a lot of people who probably will think I will never be trustable, trustworthy. Whereas you, I believe you already have their trust. And that would be integral in or important to getting them to safety.
If Ramus thinks he'll manage, I don't like this idea of going there, but if there is no other way, then I suppose he should go.
Well,
Living here
first,
with Bath like this, don't know if that's good. Maybe I should stay. I don't like any of this.
Kind of stays quiet and sees if Ramus has anything to say.
what is our ultimate goal? The one
know
thing
what
we all
mine
four
is?
want to get. What's the one thing all four of us want to accomplish?
I'd imagine an end to the killing, an end to the war, if there is, to prevent war.
It's a big question.
I don't
Ramus.
think preventing is going to be an option at this point. The tide of darkness is moving, and there's no stopping it.
Speak your mind, Ramus.
I think our collective goal would be to stop the Mara from spreading, or in fact push them back, and in fact, or eradicate them. That's probably our ultimate goal, shared goal, right?
They're one of the
I would
powers
agree.
that needs to go, yes.
Well, we can at least agree that would be a start. They're the most pressing threat at the moment.
Sure.
Now we need to figure out how. Or to stop an army, you need an army. So we have the embers, but army they are not.
Yeah,
Even
they
if
suck
do
real
recruit.
bad.
Even
at
if
a
they
glance,
recruit.
10 pillars as a like a military analyst, right? Which is what you're doing here. Just a quick glance around, and it's like they're not a fighting force. Like some of them can fight, but mostly it's just like a village of people that happen to live in a fortress.
Hey, but we can train them. I saw it in The Mandalorian. They did it.
I too have seen Army of Darkness, but yeah, I mean that is a thing you could definitely teach them to fight given time. They have the motivation to defend their home, but if it came down to it today, 10 pillars, you know where to put the money.
Right, yeah. I'll let Ramus finish.
Yeah. Okay.
So we need armies. I think we could convince the Court of Coins that stopping the Mara would be stopping them from attacking the Court of Coins after they're done with the Court of Swords. Do you think 10 pillars you could convince the army of coins to stand with the army of the swords?
What do I know of the Army of the Swords? Are they even existing anymore?
Make a history check. Make a history check. We will find out.
Okay. 31?
God damn.
Not bad.
31. All right. Everybody knows the Court of Swords has the best army in the world. They are the best trained. They are the most fervorous. They have the most of heaven's power in their mind and hearts. Other soldiers in other places wish they could be as cool as these guys. They're also almost all dead. Last you heard, the only remaining, there was like a unit of guys, which like, I don't know, could be, you don't know the size. Sometimes they say a battalion. Sometimes it's like a cadre. We don't know. But there's like a captain and a couple of officers who apparently are like hiding out at some fortress somewhere in the like contested areas trying to fight back. And in fact, Berg, Ramus, and Maharib, you were instructed previously to kill that guy by Gravedirt. His name was Southern Wind. He's a captain of the army of the Court of Swords. And so 10 Pillars, you don't know that bit, but you know the rumors, and the army itself is basically gone. Like the royal family's honor guard fell back to the north with them, to the northern capital. And so they're currently in exile, but the army itself, there's not much to speak of, which is why the Court of Swords has been asking the other courts like, hey, we need more men to fight this battle. And the Court of Coins has been like, we don't know if that's a fiscally responsible position to take. We're trying to figure that out. Hold on.
Right.
Transaction pending.
So how many courts still exist that are relatively intact?
3 out of the 4.
Oh,
So the Court of Court of Wands. I mean, the Court of Wands lost their, like, here's the thing. If New York City suddenly slid into the sea, America wouldn't fall apart necessarily. It would suck for everybody and it would change the face of the culture completely. But the Court of Wands is still around. It just lost its capital. So the crown jewel has been plucked out and hurled into space.
Okay.
But the Court of Cups and the Court of Coins are still,
What's the
and the Court of Coins and the Court of Cups
then?
are together. What's that?
What kind of people are the Court of Cups?
They are sailors. The Court of Cups is an archipelago off of the eastern coast of both the Court of Coins and the Court of Swords. And their culture varies wildly from north to south, but it's a massive archipelago of islands, large and small. And as a result, kick-ass Navy, Army, no, 0, like basically none. But if you need boats, the other thing is that the Necromancer King took the capital, right? He's in the capital, which is in the bay and on land, or on the sea, right? And so if you wanted to go all out assault, you would probably need boats to do that as well. But yeah.
And you said they're far east, right? Like, are they?
Yeah, they're east of. They're east of where you are now.
Not to sound like, oh brother, where art thou? But are they about 3 weeks from here? In this place of geographical oddity, 3 weeks from everywhere.
So it's easier to know when you're in or out of the Court of like Swords versus Cups because there's so many islands. So if you went east from here, a week's travel, maybe a little more because you're up in the mountains, but give or take a week, you go east, you'll get to the coast eventually. From there, you could probably find a boat, though most of the big ships have probably been scuttled, but you could probably find a boat, and then you could go east on that boat until you hit an island, and that island would eventually connect you to the Court of Cups. But Cups kind of like, they're a little hands off with the rest of the world. They're kind of like, we don't really want to get involved. We got our own thing going here. You guys handle your shit.
Okay. And where I'm trying to create like a mental map. Like, where in relation is the Court of Wands? To the west?
Here, I'll draw you a really shitty map.
I have one going.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, let me help clarify your shitty map. So let's see. Let me find a spot to draw on here. Let's do it. We'll do it over in this empty space over here. Yeah, right over here somewhere. Okay. So
Welcome to the joy of cartography. Be well.
That's right. I hate drawing maps. I hate it. So okay. If you're here, right? And this is the coastline that runs all the way down here. Cups is like a bunch of islands shaped like weird circles out that way, out off the coast.
Oh, they're
Let's go a little bit more.
Cheese grater to the right. That's the Court of something. Cups, because they put water in the cups.
So this is Cups, and it goes like big and small islands all the way up and down the coast. It goes as far north as you can go and as far south as you can go. Gotcha. And then if the coast kind of ends, it does a little bit of like a Florida thing and looks like a manta ray and sort of looks like that. And then there are mountains that run here, which means y'all are actually like up in there. The northern capital is like here. Southern capital is here. There's rivers basically shot through this whole territory. And then up here, there is up where these mountains kind of finally like spread out and flatten up this way. There is a valley right about there. That's the Shulin Valley. And that's on the border with the Court of Coins, which is right here. Right? Court of Coins is up that way.
Okay.
And then kind of over here, this is a border, not a geographical object. Over there, if you go that direction, that's where the Court of Wands is.
Okay.
Shitty map. Enjoy. So that's kind of where it's at. So there are, like I said, there are rivers that run like all throughout what are called the Riverlands, which is basically an area like this, the central provinces, where this is all marshy wetland and jungle, all shot through with rivers, and the rivers all kind of go either down to this bay or out to the sea, right? That's what rivers do. So that's kind of where we're at vis-a-vis the Court of Swords. A cool map of it. So there it is. Thank you. Yes, Chad. I know it is beautiful. You're right.
It's great. It's honestly, I'm glad I can visualize it now.
Yeah, same.
I mean, it's not exact, but it gives you an idea of kind of what's up. And you could last estimate, if we draw like a gray kind of bubble, last estimate, the undead pretty much like control all that, but that might be outdated information.
Dearest,
I relay the information to Ramus. Sorry if I'm the first one to tell you this, Ramus Krill, but Court of Swords, the greatest army in all of existence, as far as we know, has been decimated, taken down to one small group, last I heard. One small holdout of soldiers, a fraction of what they used to be. So your army will have to come either from the Court of Wands, which probably won't happen, and the Court of Cups, which is even less likely because they don't have an army. They do have ships.
Well, the gravity of the threat isn't being broadcast enough. If even the Court of Coins, which is in the next on the chopping block, doesn't see it, we need to make them see somehow.
Yeah, because it's been like 10 years, and they're still like, we have our guys looking into it. We think that the threat from the south might be overblown. The Court of Coins and the Court of Swords do not trust or like each other at all. And so initially, when the Court of Swords was like, hey, Coins, we could use some backup, Coins was like, horseshit, you're trying to trick us. And so there's been this like detente kind of thing that's happened as a result, because they just don't, they still think that this is some kind of like trap on the part of the Court of Swords.
Well, as far as armies go, Court of Coins has one. Court of Wands probably has one of some sort somewhere in there. Cups has ships. And scattered all through the lands are pockets of elemental worshippers who may not be fighters, but they do have some magic that might aid in battle. At least the mothers, clan mothers, and priests. Maybe a warrior or two. Might be able to pull a squadron together if we can get them all to combine.
And I'm just making a guess here, Ramus Krill, but you think maybe if they were convinced that the threat was great enough, that the coins, the cups, and the wands, and all of the outlying tribal peoples, they might unite under one flag. Maybe the flag of harmony.
Yes. If harmony was shown to be seeking solutions while the current powers were just fighting amongst themselves, if we were taking action while they sat idly by, but we have to get the threat out there. The people must see and know what's happening, because currently they're blind. You must know ways, 10 pillars, of propaganda, people who can spread information, people who can sometimes you probably spread lies or deceptions amongst people. It must be even easier to do the truth. You must have connections somewhere.
That's the thing, Ramus. That's the thing about the truth. And we've run into this problem like several times where there's a skill for deceiving people, but there's no skill for I'm telling you the truth, please believe me. When you can make up the truth, when you have the ability to control its various bits and pieces, it's easier to actualize a strategy of making people believe it. Whereas just taking the stock truth, that's a harder thing to sell, right? That's a product that often people don't want to hear. If people believe the truth, then Court of Coins would be helping right now because it is a threat. So yeah, I mean, it's true though, 10 pillars, like misinformation is absolutely a parcel of the bureau that you belong to. There are people who are like, yeah, you know what? Just go on into the Court of Swords and just spread these lies about the Court of Coins and try to turn people's opinions.
Well, I brought that up a while ago. I thought about the narrative that I wanted to.
Yeah, I remember.
Plant the seed of distrust of the Necromancer King and the Mara and their army and that kind of thing. Yeah, I know ways to make things happen, but it's never 100% sure. You may try to create a certain story that people will believe, and then it'll have the opposite effect. Or something like that.
That's what we need is a good story. Maybe the truth is too much. We need something for people to believe and to rally behind. Like the hammer of heaven come down from the sky to battle the Mara head on because heaven refused to budge. He's come to earth to smite them. The elementals have risen from their sleep.
An opera? Oh, I'm excited.
To burn the undead, standing side by side with the Mara, with the hammer of heaven. The spy master lurks in the shadows, helping to spread the truth of this tale. Okay, that one's hard.
I love 10 Pillars' face when you say that. You're like, yes, and the slippery weasel who like lurks in the shadows, who does nothing but lie and spend money.
Well, he's a big piece of shit. He's a piece of shit,
but he's on the right side.
But he's important.
Our piece of shit. He's so
shitty, but man, does that he flings shit well in the other enemy's direction. Also, about that with the whole like heavenly stuff, like I kind of gave away a little bit of my like heavenly glow, so he need me to like.
This is something the bards could help us with.
True.
Need to spread the tale. Rally the people with hope.
Sounds very familiar. No, I'm having trouble. Like, did I bring up that suggestion with these guys, or did I bring it up with somebody else?
Which one?
The idea of spreading a narrative. I'm pretty sure I like.
Oh, I think you talked about it, but not in a like a specific way. Yeah, I think it generally it seems like it sunk in because Ramus is like agreeing with you now, even at a distance. So,
what do you think, Ramus Krill, Berg, Maharib, all of you come from different backgrounds, from different groups of peoples. What's something, a threat big enough that would get the people that you knew where you came from, get them to take a threat seriously, stand up, fight against it? What would it take?
Breaking the belief that heaven has a plan.
So people will accept just about anything if they think it's their destiny, right? Like the entire culture of the courts has been built around do what the priests tell you, including die when you are told to, because it's your destiny and you'll become enlightened. So people aren't afraid of dying, and as a result, like a threat is harder to get them fired up because you can't be like, the bad guys are coming, they're gonna kill you, because people will just be like, if that is what heaven demands, so be it. And then at the last minute they'll be like, wait a second, I don't want to die. Oops, and then they'll be dead. So it doesn't matter.
Well, I know what the Court of Coins values. Everyone knows what they value. If there was some way to threaten their finances or make them believe that they were threatened, I might motivate them. Not sure how we do it, but that's their weakest point.
The Necromancer King must have lots of gold just piling up. He doesn't have to pay an army. There's money sitting there, especially in the capital.
You thinking we do a heist?
I mean, you're already all pretty rich.
It's just like a random dwarf that just shows up in the room.
Yeah, his name's Ocean.
Yeah.
We need 8 more dudes. So, yeah, like that's a good point, right? Like you could definitely try to motivate the Court of Coins by showing that their money is being threatened, but right now it isn't really. And in fact, some of them like they're pretty into the war because they're selling like weapons and stuff. But yeah, like from a religious perspective, you're in a tricky place because leaning into the narrative, you could get people to be scared by saying the Necromancer King, if he kills you, you never get to be enlightened, right? He's going to steal your soul. He's a soul-sucking devil man, and he's going to get you, right? People will believe that because it fits into their paradigm. It's like saying,
exactly what I said.
Yes, yeah. So agreeing with that, the devil. But the trick is that for Ramus, and I think part of why Ramus is resistant is that reinforces the current paradigm and makes harmony harder to accept, because the whole reason you're rallying everybody is because essentially heaven said so, right? Like if you still want to be enlightened, if you still want to die gloriously and come back in your next life as a sexier version of yourself, you have to follow heaven's plan. And so you're leaning into that specific narrative, and it's still heaven in control of the narrative, because they'll come down and be like, yes, good, you all fought for us as we expected. You're great. You know, so they still have control over it, but maybe you can interfere with it later. If you really want to fuck shit up, if you wanted to undermine the stability of the whole universe, if you could prove that heaven was lying to people, or that heaven was like faking it, or that destiny was false, everything would just come apart. Like it would be just chaos in the streets. So, you know, you gotta be careful about how much you want to push on that, because it's part of what's keeping people fighting and like hopeful, right?
From now on, you put your faith in me.
Like if you want to do the Jesus Berg narrative, you certainly could. There is definitely power in that, but it does paint you, Berg, as like the hammer of heaven, a loyal servant of the divine powers that rule over all of the world. So.
Well, I brought that up when I was talking about freeing the orcs and stuff, possibly, and having Berg lead them. Berg didn't seem he wanted to be a fighter, not a leader.
Yeah. Well, the tricky thing with the orcs is they're not like uniting the orcs is very difficult because they're all over the place, right? There's small groups of orcs everywhere, rather than
more so freeing the orcs, and with a caveat of like, you're free, but you have to fight, kind of a thing. Like that's
you're free to do whatever you want as long as it's what we tell you.
Well, yeah. Like you're no longer slaves to the mines, you're slaves to the fucking army.
You're free to choose whatever you want as long as.
But after that, if you live through it, you get to be free. How about that?
It's like going into a prison and throwing a knife on the floor and being like, "Well, if you can live, you can get out. Bye."
And my crew is having
mine just went there too.
Yeah, exactly.
I only have one spot.
Berg was a drinker and a fiend.
So yeah, I mean, again, lots of options, but none of them. I guess the idea here is that none of them are going to be like they're going to leap out and be like, "This is the perfect, obvious solution." There's going to be costs to pay, literally or figuratively, no matter what.
God, I hate points like this in the campaign.
I hate having to decide things. It's tricky, right?
Because if I wanted to, it's hard for me to even like voice that as Berg. Like, Berg really just wants to go smash shit, but that's not what we need right now. We need tact and planning. You know what I mean?
Go talk to Bahath. Bahath will be all over you. The two of you just going and smashing some shit. They're into it. Yeah. You could just do that.
I already did that though. I already smashed some shit earlier. It's fine.
Right?
All right.
Yeah, no, I get it. Because that's euphemisms.
The internet likes sex jokes. Sex jokes.
I've heard that
thing.
So, no perfect option, but where even to begin? Or if you're feeling like burnt out, you all have like little things that you could do. So you could be like, let's go and do one of those, and let's not worry about this right now. We'll just kind of like wait and see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, I guess so. Focus on our tiny goals. I don't know if this conversation starts to go kind of like in circles again and doesn't really come out. Berg might excuse himself and just go see what Vonnie is doing and how she's coping with things, especially after the last encounter.
What does that look like? What does that look like when Berg does that? Do you just sigh and get up, or are you like, all right, this is too much for me? Like, what does it look like when Berg taps out?
I think he literally just
realizes
sighs.
He can't contest with this stuff. Yeah.
There is no reason for me to be here right now. We're just going in circles. I won't be the one to point us in a direction. If you all want to keep talking about what we do. Fine. I'm going to go check on Vani. Maybe she will have some insight. Maybe not. I feel useless here. Now, call for me if you need me.
Very well, Berg. You go get some insight. We'll
Shut up, Ramos.
hang out and
You're talking to Berg's back now as he walks out of the room. Mm-hmm. Yep.
I know where to
Okay.
start for an army. If we had an army, I know where we could possibly get one to start with as a starting point. I think I know where the last remnants of the army of the Court of Swords are. I think Gravedirt told us some accidentally.
Once you find them, what's the plan? Convince them not to fight? Train the Embers? Bolster their forces?
I think we have them, the soldiers, ones who've seen it, the highest ranking ones, to tell the story, to relay what they've seen to the other courts, Court of Coins, Wands, Cups. A battle-hardened group of survivors, all of them telling the same story, would be a powerful image, a powerful story. Might rally them.
Worth a try, I suppose.
Now, the
And
Court
there's
of
some good
Swords,
men in there.
are they known like as far as like they're the biggest army, but are they considered to be like the best fighters? Are they honorable people? Do they have a code of conduct, like trustworthy?
The two things that people think about when they think of the Court of Swords, aside from like sweaty jungles, is that they are devout and that they are militaristic. Right? Those things are true of the culture. Pretty much everybody learns to fight. Even like kids' games are about teaching them like sword fighting or bow skills or whatever, right? So they're a militaristic culture that believes fervently in the mission of heaven. They are devout in that way. So as a result, when fighting against enemies like the Mara, they're a do or die. It's a do or die situation, right? Because these are enemies of reality, enemies of heaven. They hate them to death, and they are essentially fighting their chosen foe. You're not gonna find they have a sort of communistic viewpoint of things because they're all part of a larger tapestry. So it's not like battle-hardened small groups of protagonist-style badasses. It's like military units that fight in perfect cohesion in the name of a god or gods they believe in like deeply. So, many of their highest warriors are like saints or bodhisattvas of arcana, like not strength so much, but like the Chariot is a very popular arcana here. Anything to do with like aggressive strength, solidity of belief, that kind of thing. So, kind of actually to your point in chat there, Max, when you envision the survivors, it's literally just everyone who was tough enough to live through 10 years of fighting.
Hell yeah.
So yeah, they're probably like deeply jaded, not afraid of the enemy they're fighting, but they've seen some shit. They've been doing this a long time.
Yeah. That's all I can think of now. That just like, if this were a movie, cutting to them like at the end of like a fight or encounter, just slow-mo lopping heads off and shit with a hue in the background.
Yeah.
Shit all smeared on their face.
Yeah. So that's I think that's a fairly accurate imagining of what what those survivors would be like, for sure.
We could use him. And I point to Berg that just left. Some maybe zealoty. We could say use his touch of heaven to help guide them to follow Berg. He's as close to heaven as many of them will ever get.
It's not a bad idea. If we are working on building an army, we could have them help us escort the Embers away from here before we send them off to the other cities.
Some of them may be able to train the Embers, why we recruit more people, get them a little more battle ready.
How do we find them? You said you could.
Gravedirt told us of a group of soldiers hiding out in a cave a little bit to the north. She wanted us to kill them, which means she doesn't want them there. They're a threat.
So we're going with the enemy of my enemy is my friend approach.
They, as 10 Pillars so cleverly surmise, they can help convince people, and they're well-trained soldiers if they don't want to help convince others.
10 Pillars, what are your thoughts?
The only thing that I'm concerned about is time. It takes time to go get them. It takes time to bring them back. By the time we go get the soldiers, this place might be ransacked by the dead.
We could start the process of getting everyone to move. Maybe even start the caravan, but the soldiers would have to catch up. We can't make it there with just the four of us and the Embers defending. You were correct about that, 10 Pillars. As soon as she sees that we're out there, she'll come and find us.
The other fact remains that if I were a betting man, I would say the soldiers you're talking about are in a defensible position, not likely to move. They move, very possible, in fact, probable, they will be overwhelmed.
It's true that it would be a risk, but I think a bigger risk is if they don't move, they will eventually be overrun. They can't hold forever. We'll have to break their pride and make them join the front lines of the Court of Swords and hopefully, with their help, the Court of Coins, who could hold while we recruit others. This is going to require all of humanity to push back the Mara. It's a time of risk and chance. We can't play this completely safe. We won't win. There is no safe option. There's risk no matter what option we take.
I'm on board.
And I think we could let Bahath do what she wants to do to give us a distraction. Let her blow up the mountain and go crazy with the lava. It'll distract Gravedirt long enough for us to move undetected for a while.
We'd be giving up our most powerful piece if we do that. I'm not saying I'm against it, but that's quite a give.
I know. And I just worry that my ability to convince her is going to weaken and weaken as her desire to destroy grows and grows.
She already said she would. Well,
yeah, she might move. What if she gets too bored? She just wants to kill something.
She's a
with
risk.
her out of the way. With her out of the way, the Embers would need a new leader. Someone a bit more. Someone with a bit more tact and knowledge. Vani would be perfect.
How do we separate the two? The Embers and Bahath.
We'd be honest with Vani about our plan.
You'd be going up against tradition that runs deep with Vani.
I sense there's one person in this place down here that could convince her.
Right, and that's the cue to cut the scene, right? Where you say, I can think of one person who might be able to convince her, and we cut to Berg arriving, and you walk up to what you know to be Vani's room, right? You've been here before, and outside the room there's a big pile of. It looks like a yard sale. Like she's just got stuff out in the hall. There's like a pile of clothes, and there's like a piece of furniture. There's just a bunch of stuff that's kind of been scattered in the hall, and you can hear inside. You can hear Vani humming to herself and like moving around in her room. Doesn't seem like she's heard you approach. Doors open.
Yeah,
I don't think there is.
Yeah, he'll like kind of peek in the doorway and be like,
"Going somewhere, cleaning. What is?"
Yeah, when you peer around the corner, you see her, and she's in the room. She's not dressed in anything fancy. She's walking around, and she is she's humming to herself while she's like folding. She's in the middle of like folding a blanket when you interrupt her, and she jumps a little, right? And you surprise her, and she turns around. She's like,
"Sorry,
oh,
no,
it's okay. There's nobody here, so every tiny sound just keeps making me jump. I can't wait till everybody comes back. This place is lonely and weird.
Very quiet.
You've got good timing. I'm the mess in the hall. I'm moving. I could use some help. I asked Aoud, but he's busy.
I can help.
And she points over to like she's piled a bunch of stuff on top of like a wicker basket. And she filled the basket and then just kept piling stuff on top of it. She's like, you could lift that, right?
Yeah, he just grabs the basket.
Of course you can. Yeah, walk over and pick it up. She watches
with my
and
pinky. No.
She watches you walk over and pick it up and lift it. And we just see her like looking at you, and she's like, I changed my mind. Put it down. You set it down?
Yeah.
Okay, she's like, now pick it up again, but do it all slow.
He's like, looks and like smiles. Does so.
Yeah, she claps and like cheers. She like gives you a little whistle, and she's like, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Like, come on. And she grabs like a rucksack and throws it over her shoulder. And the two of you can, talk as you're walking down the hallway. And you're headed towards, you don't know where, but the two of you are walking down the hall talking. And she says, you and her friends were having a long conversation. Everything all right?
Just trying to figure out what to do next.
It's the hardest thing.
Grave dirt and Mara. What's the best way of doing that? Hard for me to stay in those talks. Not one for strategizing a bunch.
He nods, says, me neither. And that was always Awood's strength. Though we haven't really had a solid fight that we've had to deal with in a long time. Things were sort of touch and go at first. Before all of, she gestures, but I was just little then. I only sort of remember. But Aoud always protected us. But now, I don't know. I think he's kind of lost. If there's anything that you need when it comes to handling Bahath, that's my job now. So maybe I can help.
How do you feel about that, Bahath? Do you see a problem coming? Have more window into their mind? If they have a mind, I don't.
She's nodding and like paying attention to you. And you notice this is something that I don't know. I'm not sure if you would notice it necessarily. I'll leave it up to you if Berg notices this. But a lot of the time when Berg is having conversations with people, even people that like ostensibly respect and care about him, if he takes too long to get to a point, you can see them getting bored, right? Where they're like, okay, I already reached wherever the fuck Berg is going, 5 minutes ago. So I'm just thinking about something else, waiting for Berg to finish. But Vani pays like close attention to everything that you say. Like she doesn't seem like antsy. She seems like patient and waits for you to finish and then gives you a little time in case you need a second and then responds. So she gives you all this room in the conversation that I think maybe Berg is not used to.
Yeah.
And so when you get to the end of that, she says, well, that's a lot. I mean, we don't get to choose these sorts of things. I've been a medium. I think that's the word. My whole life since I was little, seeing ghosts, that whole thing. And my parents, they didn't want me. And so I don't remember a lot of that, but the Embers took me in and introduced me to Imix, and I've heard Imix speak in many voices since then. So, some of them. Agni, one I met early on, but Bahath, I don't know. I'd never met Bahath before. I guess they were cut off from Imix because of the sword. There's a reason why people don't like these kinds of enchantments. Bahath is a lot. Very loud, aggressive. I'm glad they're possessing an empty body instead of mine because I don't think I have the energy for it. I wouldn't have chosen Bahath to lead us, but that's the thing about being mortal. You don't get to choose. And there's always somebody bigger, better, more important than you. So I've learned trust Imix, and if Imix sent Bahath to us, it can't be all bad. Besides, in a roundabout way, that's why you're here. I mean, still. So,
Bahath.
I don't know. Fire burns. That's what it does. It's up to humans to decide what to do with the fire. Bahath means it's time to let it burn a little. That we have enemies that need to be reminded of Imix's power. I don't know. People are going to get hurt.
Bahath would burn everything and everyone if allowed to. Thankfully, Remus is helping.
You know anything about forest fires, Berg? So sometimes when a forest gets too old and tangled, it becomes somewhere that's not safe for anyone, animals, people to live. It becomes dangerous. Hard to find food. Things die in the dark. And a forest fire, while it seems like it's dangerous and burning out of control, it exists to clear some of that growth from the forest, to make it livable again, to make the animals safe. That's how I like to think of Bahath. And aspects like that. she wants to destroy so that new things can be built in her place. And when her time is done, she'll burn out like any fire does. And if we're lucky, Imix will send us another emissary. It's my job to wait for that emissary and to make sure that Bahath doesn't get us all killed in the process.
Bahath is stupid.
And she laughs and she looks at you and she says, well, no, when she says she's laughing not because you said something offensive. She looks at you and she says, that's all right. I love stupid things. And she gives you like a swat with a free hand.
They're not used to the way things have changed. Humans, people, no more, less quick to blindly follow. Some, yes, but I can see they are having trouble with the new way of things. Even more good that Ramus is there to guide and us force if necessary. We don't need more problem. Problem enough with Gravegut.
She nods and says, should we be scared of her? I mean,
Scared. Not scared. Aware. Very much aware. Maybe scared. I don't know.
yeah, and I feel like that's such a good like kind of solemn moment to go to break on, is like the two of you walking down the hall and that kind of flirtatious conversation slipping from kind of easygoing, like, hey, let's chat while you help me move, into this like nervous kind of like energy, right? Where she wanted you to say, no, don't worry, baby, I'm here to protect you. But instead you of all people were like, I don't know, maybe. And that really scared her. And so there's this sort of quiet, somewhat ominous moment of the two of you walking down the empty halls as we fade to break there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like that.
All right. Well, let's take our break and we'll come back and go into the second part here of episode 136, The Court of Swords. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this.